We gonna marry her.
The writers Griffith Edwards, Tom Barber, Shane Dirk, Wayne Hall, John Morrison, Peter Miller, and Robert West written the journal Drug Trafficking, Time to Abolish the Death Penalty. The journal is about a drug dealer should not receive the death penalty if he or she is convicted. Drug trafficking is seen as heinous corrupting of the nation's youth, disruptive of traditional values, often foreign and in origin, and profitable for its perpetrators. There are some factors that drug dealers should not receive the death penalty, such as judicial killing for this type of crime or an offense against human rights. Drugs has always been a problem within the United States in the past as well as in the future. The execution of people convicted of drug trafficking and other drug-related offenses is a penalty that should be abolished, as it is both ineffective as a policy measure and abruptive in terms of human rights violation. Drugs have gotten worse in the United States. The death penalty for drug trafficking is a violation of human rights. Trafficking is no more approximate cause of death than is the trade in motor cars or sale or tobacco. Today I will be discussing drug dealers convicted of distributing large quantities of drugs should not receive the death penalty. I will also discuss how drugs will affect each individual. Now that I have introduced you the central ideal about drug dealers should not receive the death penalty as punishment, next I will discuss the sentencing for drug dealers. A sentencing schema for drug law violations has direct effects on which dealers go to prison and for how long, and indirect effects on the behavior of drug market participants as they adjust their activity patterns to accommodate to the legal threats they face. Drug dealers should be prosecuted because when he or she sells or abuses drugs, this is a criminal offense. Drug sentences continue to depend largely on the identity and quantity of the drug involved. According to Arthur Mark A. Kleiman, in this essay towards more nearly optimal sentencing for drug offenders, states that an optimal sentencing strategy for drug offenses, a project that necessarily involves significant abstraction from the complicated process in which enforcement agencies, prosecutors, judges, and legislators among them determine who goes to prison and for how long. Now that I have discussed sentencing for drug dealers, now we'll discuss how dangerous drugs can be for the people in our society. There are numerous types of drugs that are sold on the streets, such as cocaine and methamphetamine. Drugs is dangerous. It can cause health problems, and it also can cause death. The widespread abuse of these drugs threatens the United States social fabric by contributing to the creation of a ligament society of users. According to author Bettye Hartwitz, she explains in the book of the role of the Inter-American Drug Abuse Control Commission confronting the problem of illegal drugs in the Americas. on June 1st, 2010, that the illegal drug trade has become a serious threat for the Americans. Now that I have discussed the danger of drugs, now we'll discuss how drugs can be addictive. Drug addiction can have negative consequences for individuals, for our society, such as when a person abuses drugs, he or she may commit crimes. Many addicts commit crimes to finance their addiction or commit crimes while under the influence of a substance. According to Arthur Caitlin Rose Fisher explains in the Minnesota Law Review on December 1st, 2014, that the lack of change in the correlation between drug use and criminal activity in those 35 years suggests that traditional threats of punishment and probation do not deter drug use by the majority of individuals struggling with addiction. Finally, since I have discussed how drugs can be addictive, now I will be ending with my conclusion over drug dealers convicted of distributing large quantities of drugs should not receive the death penalty. In summary, there has been different opinions about drug dealers receiving the death penalty as punishment if convicted, but also some individuals think that it may be biased to give a drug dealer the death penalty. In more judicial sentencing after conviction on non-capital charges is in the exclusive purview of the judge. However, in death penalty cases, a jury comprised of death qualified community members is responsible for the life or death sentencing decision. In reviewing the main points of drug dealers convicted of distributing large quantities of drugs should not receive the death penalty because the person is not abusing drugs, know how the drugs will affect them. If the death penalty were to be struck out generally from every country's statute book, excuses for drug offenses would be passing, of course, be abolished. Even though being a drug dealer is against the law, the individual should not receive the death penalty. He or she should receive the maximum punishment, which can be 3 to 5 years to life in prison. If a drug dealer is given a death penalty, he or she may not be able to receive rehabilitation. In abolishing the death penalty, the drug dealer can have the opportunity to turn his or her life around.